We are starting a new book today, and we are on the next J book, which is Job. So we are still in the Old Testament, and here we go with talking about one, in my opinion, one of the most popular stories, especially when it comes to grief and troubled scenarios in our lives. We seem to kind of gravitate towards Joe's issues and the challenges that he was facing. And so we are going to talk about that. And today's devotion I titled Worship Through Wounds. And we are on day 162. Can you believe it? And we're on June 1. And today's morning rinse for you to read is Job 1 through 4. And the featured verses for today include Job 1:20 through 22. Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head, and he fell to the ground and worshipped. And he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Through all this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God. In today's morning rinse, we read about what I call the revolving front door of Job's home. I mean, it seemed like the moment that one person came through the door and had bad news, that the door immediately revealed someone else scurrying inside to bring him yet more heart-wrenching news. Multiple people crowded into his living room, each sharing a traumatic story of how they nearly escaped death. But the news that they brought showed that nothing or no one else survived their specific calamity. So one person said this, one person told Job this, another one told him this. And each calamity, everyone or everything was destroyed except for that one person. And they were able to escape and go and tell Job. Job's possessions, his employees, and his children were gone in a moment's notice. One by one, the survivors reveal the catastrophic events, which was Satan's plan to destroy Job's livelihood. We know that that was his plan. So for starters, a strange fire consumed his sheep and the shepherds that were tending to them. Then the rest of his livestock and his servants were attacked by the Sabeans and the Chaldeans. And then tragically, on top of these losses, this tornado-like wind crushed the home that all of his children were in, killing everyone inside except for the person delivering this horrific news. Anyone that was experiencing just one of these great losses would obviously be overwhelmed with grief and depression. I mean, can you imagine losing all of your children in the snap of a finger plus all your servants? Or can you imagine losing all of your livestock, or all of your sheep and the shepherds, just everything? I can't imagine even losing one of those pieces to my life, but all three of these messages and everything that he lost was all listed. And through this revolving door, he was told about this overwhelming sense of loss. And anybody experiencing this to any small level would experience grief and depression. But how does Job respond with the surrounding news and people in his house and the surmounting news basically of multiple losses? Well, much to my amazement, and I'm sure that some of you listening and some of you watching online or reading my devotional, some of you might be just as amazed. He worships through his wounds. We know God gave Satan permission to destroy Job's possessions, but Job worships anyway. And the interesting thing about this story is that God did not give Satan permission to hurt Job just this one time. We see in chapter 2, which is part of our morning rinse, we see in chapter 2 in today's, chapters that Satan went back to God a second time and received permission again to continue his plan to destroy Job's life. And this time was to obtain permission from God to destroy his health. So Job had to go back to God that second time and got permission to destroy his health. We often forget that there was not just one round of perceived defeat. There were two. And the second round came while Job was actually still grieving the loss of his children. And it probably happened fairly, shortly after he buried them. This would literally be the lowest of low points in anyone's life. I cannot imagine. And this time around, Satan attacked Job's health with boils, making Job's body nearly unrecognizable. Nearly unrecognizable. Job was not only enduring his recent heart pain, but he was now in extreme physical pain as well. This physical pain was so intense, he would scrape his skin with broken pottery to try and find relief. And even in the midst of a wounded heart and a wounded body, Job worshiped God, never sinning with his lips. Satan tried to use Job's pain and grief to tempt him to turn his back on God. Isn't that what he tries to do now? Like when we get hurt, maybe physical hurt, heart hurt, loss of hurt, this voice inside of our head right here by our ears yipping at us, doesn't he do the same thing to try and tempt us to question God, to turn our backs on him? But Job pushed through his wounds and continued worshiping anyway. My message to you is we must remember the ploys of the enemy. Just like Job, we must keep worshiping despite the wounds from attacks and losses in our life. I'm going to read Job's words to you one more time. Job 1:20 through 22. Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head, and he fell to the ground and worshipped. And he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Through all of this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God. Today's challenge to dig deeper is to ask yourself this question. Are you experiencing any emotional or physical pain? Today, when you feel that pain hit you, worship. Every time an ache surfaces, worship. Worship him anyway through your wounds. That may be an ache and pain from your body. Right now, as I am recording this podcast, I have a broken bone in my foot, and I'm not able to actually work out like I normally would. I can't run. I can sometimes barely walk because of the pain. And if I walk too much during the day, my foot throbs. So I'm not just talking to you guys. I'm talking to we. I have physical pain, and as I mentioned yesterday in somewhat of an emotional podcast, a very dear mentor went on to be with Jesus. And while that loss is not near what the loss would be for losing my children, like Job did, It's still a loss. There's still some grief. And yet I'm sharing with you a small physical pain and a small emotional pain in comparison to what Job was going through. So shouldn't it be so much easier for me to worship through my wounds? And yet Job did. In all that he experienced, he worshiped through his wounds. What does worship look like to you? For me, it's turning on some worship music and letting it just sink into my spirit, getting away from the hustle and the bustle and the phone calls and real estate endeavors and, all the things that might come my way, and just get away for 15 minutes in silence. Or it could mean that you hop in your car and drive to an appointment with the worship music loudly playing. It could be something else. Maybe you play an instrument and you want to pull it out and get that guitar strumming and just play a song or play the piano. I don't know what worship is in your life, and that's a definition for you to describe. For me, it's all about the worship music and thanking God and praising God for who he is by the things that I say. It could be, maybe you fast for a day or 3 days. I don't know. But if you're experiencing any emotional or physical pain right now, when you feel that pain, worship. Every single time you feel that pain, worship. Worship God anyway. Worship him through your wounds. And when you pull out your journal tonight and you're writing down how your day went, I want you to write down your experience. What was it like? How did you feel when you were worshiping through your wounds? Maybe someone hurt you so deeply that you just are having a really difficult time right now. Worship. Maybe somebody was super rude at your kids' school, or maybe your child got hurt from someone and that parent did not address it. Those are legitimate wounds. Nothing that we experience that is hurtful is less than, or less significant in God's eyes than what Job went through. In our minds, my pain is just a little smidgen of what Job went through, but that doesn't matter in God's eyes. He hears and sees our wounds, no matter how big or small they are. So worship him. Thank him for being God. Job said that. He arose and he tore his robe and shaved his head and he fell on the ground and worshiped, meaning that he just released himself, got all the distractions away. And of course, that was a culture back then, but he worshiped. And he realized that, God owns it all anyway. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord gives to me, and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Through all of this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God. So, write down in your journal your experience today. What did you do to worship? Did you sing? Did you talk to God? Did you thank him for being God? What did you do to worship? And how was that experience? Like, how was your heart afterwards as you worship through your wounds? I hope today inspired you. It sure did me. Remember that I'm talking to the we, not to the you, but I'm talking to the we of all of us. So go out and let's continue to walk through this story of Job. And hopefully you'll be able to glean some things from him and his story as we walk through this. So until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.